It was an ugly court appearance with the defendant attacking his attorney. But after that violent scene in Alachua County a month ago, some lawmakers and lawyers want to make a change.
TV 20's Jordan Markov shows us the moment caught on courtroom cameras.
Behind the doors of this courthouse, a career criminal in Alachua County punched his defense attorney during his trial. We want to warn you, the video you're about to see may be disturbing.
Thank you, ma'am. Please be seated.
What should have been a routine trial for career criminal Obadiah Dillard with his defense attorney Eric Atria turned into something much bigger. Dillard's punch fractured his attorney's skull.
We are in those dangerous positions with a lot of dangerous people, but to see it was shocking.
Candace Brower oversees the regional council, which provides defense attorneys for 5 circuit courts in Florida. She is now working with State Representative Pat Maney to change Florida law.
Anybody who attacks him really attacks the whole functioning of our justice system, our criminal justice system. So I believe that we should pass a law that increases the penalty, enhances the penalty for anybody who does that.
That bill was just filed as House Bill 71. The current law raises penalties for violent offenders if they commit an act of violence against law enforcement officers, correctional officers, assistant and state attorneys, justices, or judges. But defense attorneys are not included.
We were glaringly missing, and when I say we, I mean all defense attorneys, public defender, regional counsel.
That is what Maney and Brower are hoping to change with House Bill 71. Reporting in Gainesville, Jordan Markov, TV 20 News.